privilege and an honor to be here today. So my name is Njogu. My name is Njogu, the lead consultant at Navari. I've been working at Navari for the last 4 years or so. So probably I'm one of the few millennials at Navari. The other one, that one goes without saying. Mushai. So I've been involved in quite a number of projects. But today I'm here to share with you a success story of ERPNext implementation at a company called SOTB. So SOTB, it's a mining company based in Burundi. Their headquarters is in Bujumbura, and their mining activities are done in a town called Muyinga. So they specialize in exploration, extraction, and processing of gold, among other valuable minerals. So today, in my presentation, I'll walk you through the implementation process, just a rundown. I'll also touch on the key challenges that we faced during the implementation. I'll highlight the solution we provided and the lessons we learned. So, SOTB, they wanted to automate their accounting. So ideally, ERPNext supports IFRS predominantly. But they have a local accounting framework they call PCNR, that is Plan Compatibility National Review, something like that. So they are it's a bit more like IFRS, International Financial Reporting Standards. But there were slight differences in terms of financial gain recognitions. Like, I'll just give an example. We have exchange gain, loss, and stroke gain. So normally in ERPNext, under the company master, we define default accounts for specific transactions. So, but in their case, the difference is for gains, they recognize it as an income, but IFRS recognizes that you're supposed to credit your expense account. But for them, if it's a gain, they credit an income account. If it's a loss, they debit an expense account. So those are some of the tweaks we had to do. Another one is inventory management. They wanted real-time visibility of their stock. So gold processing requires a lot of chemicals other than the ore. So it is always very important that when need be, you're able to get the raw materials. And obviously the supply chain management. That one really comes in when it comes to replenishment of stock. And we also had regulatory compliance. Many has talked about it. The Burundi compliance with their tax regime. And the most important one was gold manufacturing. So gold manufacturing, it's quite a complex project. But the good thing with the ERPNext, we have multi-level BOMs production. So I don't know how many of you know how gold is, how we extract gold. Personally, I didn't know, but I can just demystify by saying it's not like you dig and you get the gold. So what they do during exploration, so they identify areas where they can get gold deposits. And they dig some small holes and get samples. And that one is done in the system because you're supposed to return the results as soon as possible. So they send the samples to the lab, the tests are done for each sample. And that is what will inform from where they're supposed to extract the ore. So it's like soil with some small, very small gold deposits. So I'll just share with you the overview of the gold process. So it goes through several processes. That is the ore, whereby they feed in the plant. So once they feed the ore, they also add some other chemicals like lime water and what have you. And then the output goes to the next process. The output is what we call a pre-concentrate. You can get two outputs. So you can get pre-concentrate and CIP feed. So, and then it goes through CIP process, and then illusion, intensive cyanide leaching. So at that point, it's whereby the gold is going to be extracted from the ore. So they'll separate the ore and other chemicals from the gold. They use what we call, I think, carbon and some other chemicals. I'm not a scientist, honestly. And then they get a sludge, gold sludge. And this is something that can happen for days. It's not something that happens like 1 hour or 2 hours. It can take days or weeks just to get a small, or to recover a small amount of gold. So once they do it from various places, they'll go to one place where they smelt and get the gold bars. During the implementation, obviously we faced a lot of challenges. So remember, I talked about accounting framework. So probably this is something that we can discuss more in the near future. Like in the company master, we have only one account for specific transactions. The one I was saying about unrealized profit gain and also exchange rate gain or loss. We only have one account. But remember, these countries, as we grow, we are moving to French-speaking countries, and the accounting framework it's a bit different. So probably we need an account for gain and an account for loss. So the gold production process was also very complex. You can imagine training people to create several BMs, and then they're asking you, where is the gold now? Before you get the gold, you have to get a lot of outputs and what have you. So that was quite a challenge, but we were able to overcome. So we documented most of these things. So I've only shared some small bit for purposes of, this is an industry that is data sensitive. So they don't allow you to share most of their data. Another thing is language barrier. So many had talked about this. So since I was the one training people, also many had to train people, business processes, obviously. I only did the complex parts. Sometimes I tell these developers they need to understand business processes so that you can provide robust solutions. So we did a lot of localized training. It took a bit of time, definitely, because you train in English. So we had one guy, and by the way, shout out to Samuel. He's a representative from SOTB Burundi. Welcome, Karibu Kenya. I know you're not understanding most of the things I'm saying because he only speaks French and a little bit of Swahili, but we can talk more after this. So he was one of the guys who really came through for us during the training. So we had one project champion, we called it a single point of contact. They fortunately understood English, Kiswahili, and also French. So we taught him in English, and he translated into Kirundi and whatever, and French. So what are some of the lessons we learned during the implementation process? So remember, for every implementation process, we normally do, it's a standard for Frappe. They have provided what we call a sprint sheet, and we have in our company, I don't know about the rest, we can share. We have elicitation questionnaires whereby we use them to gather requirements from the customers. And then we define workflows, we identify and understand their pain points, and we configure the system in a way that best suits their needs. So we had to do a lot of planning, detailed planning. I've talked about it. Localization and enhanced adoptions, that one I've talked about it. And also, sometimes you need the management or the senior most guy to push the others, because we face a lot of resistance during implementation. Naturally, people are just they don't like change. And remember, most of them, they are used to, they are not computer savvy, so you can understand. You have to teach them how to use the computer first, and then the system. We did a lot of support afterwards, so we have also gone back there a few times. But not me, my juniors. Not my juniors, but my colleagues, sorry. So we try to make sure that a lot of us understand this production process, so that we can always support our customers when we are not available for the projects that we did previously. There are key deliverables, that is key success, that is operational efficiency. So we were able to streamline the inventory. ERPNext has a very robust inventory solution, so we normally, it should suffice in a way, so we don't customize it. And then we have improved usability, so you can always set language per user, depending on their preference. So we have French, we have English there. We have also had Kirundi, or Kinyarwanda or something. So you can always, they can choose the language they want. So regulatory compliance, so Mania talked about this. We were able to be approved after some time. So together with Mania, we did most of the reviews and evaluation. So and it was a big challenge, but eventually we managed to be compliant. So these are just some small diagrams to illustrate what we did. So you have your ERPNext instance that communicates with the Burundi ABMS system. Yeah, and all those transactions. We also had what we call dashboards. We used Tableau to define some of them. And yeah, like I said, we are not going to share most of their data because of the obvious reasons. But they are able to get all the reports they want, mostly stock, and they replenish in promptly. I have a video here from SOTB about the success story. Sorry. So I'm not going to play all of it because it is in French with some English subtitles. But you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, Navari Limited. Share and subscribe. Yeah, and you can see all these videos. We don't have only one video. We have several of them, and I've been part of it. I've been pushing for this. So we do a lot of customer stories. I did most of them, but recently we have a big team. They can do themselves and whatever. So thank you for listening to me. So I'll welcome Prisca to continue. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Prisca Kibagendi. I'm an ERP consultant at Navari Limited, and I have worked with Navari Limited for 2 years, helping businesses streamline their processes with ERPNext. So today I'm going to talk about the agro-distribution industries and ERPNext at large. And fun fact about Kenya is, or Africa in general, is that in Africa, agriculture is one of the main economic activities, as it contributes to 30 to 40% of Africa's GDP. And having an ERP solution tailored for that is just a game changer. So there are several ERPNext customers in the agro distribution industries. As you can see here are just a few that we put on the screen. And today I'm majorly going to major on Cropchem, International Limited, and Speedling Nurseries. So Cropchem and Speedling are sister companies. As you can hear from the name, they have complementary roles. They majorly deal with, first of all, Cropchem majorly does agrochemicals, fertilizers, and other farm inputs. And for Speedling Nurseries, they majorly do seedling propagation. That is growing a seed to a plant. And that is generally what they do. And together they provide solutions to customers and their farmers. And so how did Cropchem hear about ERPNext? As I shared in the previous slide, there was a customer of using ERPNext, Plum Pharmacy. They heard about them, ERPNext from them, and decided to go on with the solution. And from them, they had specific implementation goals in mind. And for this, they wanted a system that could track their sales performance. Sales is very key in their processes, so they wanted a system that could really get detailed reports. They wanted financial visibility, especially with the Speedling. They do transform seeds to seedlings, so they wanted to track that process, allocate budgets, know the cost. They also wanted to track their inventory management and just know what is going on, the stock levels, the stock analytics, and streamline their HR and payroll process. These are just a few of their goals they had in mind. And the implementation process. The implementation process was quite straightforward. There were no heavy customization, just a straight and a smooth, efficient implementation process. Also, we had a quick turnaround. The implementation and training took about 1 month or so for both Speedling and Cropchem. And we had positive reception from the team from Cropchem and Speedling. They really loved the system. They really loved us as Navari. They enjoyed the training. As much as training, yes, can be a little bit of a challenge, they took on the challenge and decided to soldier on and onboard the system. Also, we had stronger relationship with the team. We formed friendship. We went beyond just being trainers to them. We were being friends. And this helped in fostering a better collaboration with the team. So here are some key deliverables that we did, or ERPNext did to Cropchem and Speedling. So one, as I mentioned earlier, one of their major processes is sales. So in their sales, they have people who go to various territories, various regions around the country, and they wanted a system that could manage these people, and these people also needed a system that they could access from the various locations they are in. So what ERPNext did is, ERPNext is a web-based system, so as long as they had internet in whatever territory they are, they could access the system and put in data, and the specific people in charge of getting the data will get and just compile detailed reports and have just real-time insights on everything is going on on everything that was going on in their sales process. And this was quite revolutionary to them, and they really loved that. And also, one of the things that I had mentioned is the territories. They wanted territorial reports, obviously, to see which territory is doing well, which territory is not doing well. So with this data, they could just get everything in one platform and could make better decisions in their sales process. Also, another thing was their inventory management was streamlined. So you see, for Cropchem, they deal with agrochemicals and fertilizers. So when you come to fertilizers and chemicals, expiry date is very, very important. So for expiry date, ERPNext has the batch management system. You can track your expiry dates, you can track your reports, and just get everything in real time. You can also track your stock aging and just see what is going on with your stock. Also, another thing was accounting automation. They were able to track their cost effectively with Speedling. They also streamlined their HR and payroll process. So here are some dashboards. They are not based on real data. This is demo data. We cannot share customer data. And these are some dashboards that they really enjoyed and they're still using. And thank you so much. And again, we also have a customer success story for Cropchem. And also, I'd like to shout out to Patrick. He's the director at Cropchem. He's here. You can wave to us. Here. Yes, thank you so much, Patrick. Thank you. Here's a success story for Cropchem. You can again subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you can see more about customer success and what about a lot more about what Navari has done. Thank you so much for your time. Have a lovely time.